Today marks 8 years since Hurricane Harvey made landfall, unleashing devastating winds and catastrophic flooding to parts of Texas, including our beloved city of Houston. To investigate, Robert Arnold was one of the first reporters to be on the ground in Rockport, near where the eye of the storm first encountered land. Robert,
No, it was the eye.
It was the eye.
Yeah,
the eye
no,
of
the eye hit
storm.
right there. Yeah.
San Jose, Port Aransas, that whole,
Yeah.
Talk to us about what it was like leading up to this August day back in 2017, and then, of course, that evening when it made landfall.
Okay, so it was looking like it was going to hit the Corpus Christi area first. So we spent some time in Corpus, and of course we were doing the normal, here's what everybody's doing to prepare for this. Then about, I would say, less than 24 hours before landfall, the station called me and said, where do you think we should be? And I said, Rockport. I really do think it's going to shift more towards Rockport. So we went to Rockport. By 6 o'clock that night, you could barely even see me. The rain was coming in sideways. We were, right there on the bay. Anyway, and so you could barely see me. The wind was pounding, the rain was pounding. I mean, it was unbelievable. So we made our way to a Hampton Inn afterwards because it was the newest building in town. So you knew it was built to the most current standards, right? Yeah. And the hotel was like, yes, you can stay here. We're like, great. Base camp throughout all of this. So 10 o'clock comes around, we go outside, we do our first live shot. I'm with Giovanni Luna, our photojournalist. And I mean, we were just hammered. I mean, the wind was just bam, bam, bam. It would not stop. You could see transformers blowing, trees were going down. It was pitch black, and every now and again you get that burst of a transformer and it would light up, and you're like, wow. And it just kept hammering and hammering and hammering us. And then we finished our live shot. We took a little bit of a break, and at 10:30, they came back to us, and that's why I say I know. When I say the eye went over because at 10:30, it was like a completely different world. It's one of the most surreal moments I've ever had covering any hurricane or tropical storm. It was perfectly calm. You could hear frogs croaking. You could see the stars in the sky because it was that well-defined an eye. It was perfect. And it went through that, and then I'd say 10 minutes after we did our live shot at the bottom of the hour, here comes the second half. And it walloped us harder than the first half. And so we were in one of those vans. It was a live truck. We call it a live truck, but it was, it's a van. Yeah. But it had the smaller satellite dish on top. That thing, the wind wrenched it loose. And so it's flapping like this, bam, bam, bam. And I'm terrified thinking that thing's going to fly off and hit somebody. And it did. It was wrenched it loose except for one cable held it on. And so we're like, okay, we've got to figure out what we're going to do. Well, right about that time, we see all these people coming out of the hotel, and we're like, what's going on? Why are you guys coming out? They kicked everybody out of the hotel because the facade on the back half of the hotel started getting ripped off. Like, you could literally see into rooms and into hallways. It was tearing off the backside of the hotel. So then the management, rightfully so, was worried about collapse or even partial collapse. So everybody had to leave. So we found this little cluster of buildings nearby, and we kind of parked the van in there. Because we couldn't drive, and I was still terrified that that satellite dish was going to go flying off and hit somebody. And so we kind of wrote it out there. And the reason we had to write it out there, we lost everything. There was no more cell phone. There was no more anything. So we were dead in the water. Finally, the next morning, we got up. I ran around to a bunch of storm chasers trucks and started knocking on windows. Anybody have any rope, anything like that? And fortunately, some guys were very nice, gave us some rope. So we tied down the dish just so we could drive around, and then the devastation was just incredible. I mean, entire buildings, homes just flattened, buildings that weren't flattened were hollowed out. It went through. I mean, it was incredible. And so we went around, we talked to people, we talked to some of the DPS troopers that came in, as well as some of the emergency management folks, as well as the people who had lost their homes, their businesses, everything from that devastation. But then we had to drive back to Corpus Christi, or almost to Corpus Christi, to get a cell signal. And that was the only way we could communicate with the station and start reporting. And we did that, and so we were in the middle of all that for, it was more than 24 hours. I mean, I'd say, it was about 36 hours. Finally got a break, went to Corpus. The next morning, I woke up after about 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and the station was calling us, and it's like, you've got to get back to Houston, where the whole place is going underwater. And so, from Corpus to Houston, it's like about a 3-hour drive usually.
At least.
It took us
On a good day.
It took us about 5 to get back. There was so much debris on the road.
You talk about this storm being different. You've covered so many throughout your career. Was there ever a moment you were truly afraid of what was
that satellite dish? I still have dreams about that. That satellite dish, because it just kept going bam, just kept flopping back and forth in the wind, and you could see it kept being pried looser and looser, and it was that one cable, thank God, and I was just terrified that thing was going to just fly off, like I said, and hit somebody. I know that sounds a strange moment to think about, but I really thought about it. And then the other thing, and this was a little bit more humorous, it was a little more humorous, we were wet for so long that when I woke up finally after getting back into Corpus and everything, I had a head to toe rash. And I took a picture and I sent it to my wife, and she goes, "Oh my God, you have diaper rash," because we were wet for so long in the exact same clothes. Yeah.
Well, we so much appreciate you sharing your story with us. You know, this is a day of reflection, and we're talking with you and talking to people in our community, wanting to hear your story and your experience. So thank you again for joining us for the News at 4. We appreciate it.